bring to us your poetry, from inspiration sought. Come join us with your images, your verses, words and thought. From here we will share your balladry with those who do not know it. This platform's here for you to show the world that you're the poet.
Welcome to episode 49 of You're the Poet, the poetry podcast featuring you. I'm host Matt Burgio, and I'm here with co-host Phil Burgio. Phil, welcome.
Happy to be here.
Here at You're the Poet, our purpose is to share our love of poetry with the world and invite you to do the same. I want to start by saying thank you to all of our listeners who have made You're the Poet possible. We hope you enjoyed the podcast and the poetry that is shared here. Our featured guest for this episode of You're the Poet is returning guest Simon Drake, who is joining us from London, England. Simon, welcome back to You're the Poet.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're glad you could join us again, and we look forward to your contribution to the episode. To start things off, I'm going to read a classic poem for the episode. This one I went a little bit different. This is going to be a poem by Nikola Tesla. He lived from July 10th, 1856 to January 7th, 1943. He was a Serbian-American engineer and inventor and considered a futurist. He worked a lot with electricity and is known for his contributions to the design of the modern alternating current, the AC electrical supply system. He was born and raised in the Austrian Empire, but immigrated to the United States in 1886 and became a naturalized citizen. He also experimented a lot with wireless communications and technologies, and also wireless electricity, which he had this dream of being able to send electricity wirelessly to light cities and such. Some of his work got cut short and whatnot, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but he has a very interesting life. Contemporary of Edison. He's somebody that I wanted to pull out because, well, he's not really known as a poet. He's this engineer and inventor and this very scientific-minded person. But as I explained to Phil, those brilliant minds, I think poetry works well for those. And so to me, it wasn't a surprise. And so this is a poem he had wrote in a letter to a friend. It's called Fragments of Olympian Gossip. And it's sort of a tease on some of the scientific things of the times. Fragments of Olympian Gossip. While listening on my cosmic phone, I caught words from the Olympus blown. A newcomer was shown around. That much I could guess, aided by sound. There's Archimedes with his lever, still busy on problems as ever. Says, matter and force are transmutable, and wrong the laws you thought immutable. Below on Earth they work at full blast, and news are coming in thick and fast. The latest tells of a cosmic gun. To be pelted is very poor fun. We are wary with so much at stake. Those beggars are a pest, no mistake. Too bad, Sir Isaac, they dimmed your renown, and turned your great science upside down. Now a long-haired crank, Einstein by name, puts on your high teaching all the blame. Says, matter and force are transmutable, and wrong the laws you thought immutable. I am much too ignorant, my son, for grasping schemes so finely spun. My followers are of stronger mind, and I am content to stay behind. Perhaps I failed, but I did my best. These matters of mine may do the rest. Come, Kelvin, I have finished my cup. When is your friend Tesla coming up? Oh, quoth Kelvin, he is always late. It would be useless to remonstrate. Then silence, shuffle of soft slippered feet. I knock, and the bedlam of the street. Nikola Tesla, novice.
It's amazing. He's an amazing person. You got to do some research on him.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about his life, but he is very, very interesting person. And there's a mystery behind his later life, too, and his death and whatnot.
Rumor has it that when he passed away, the government confiscated all his papers. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Yeah. Crazy, but kind of a neat poem there. And I love the fact that he signed it Nikola Tesla, novice. Apparently he had written a lot of poetry in his younger years or as a child, but he thought it too personal or whatnot to have out there, so he didn't really publish anything. I always like to find those obscure poets or poetry by people that we don't think are poets. Mainly, too, because I think it fits our podcast, because I like the fact that you can be an amateur poet, maybe not a poet by trade, and still have a love for poetry and want to share it with the world.
I loved that line he used. He failed, but he did his best, and you can't do any more than that.
Definitely. All right, well, from here, we're going to turn it over to Phil to share his poem for the episode.
Okay, this is an acrostic. I try to do a little something different. I try to make a rhyming acrostic, and it's called paradigm. And a paradigm is a standard perspective or set of ideas, a way of looking at something The word comes up a lot in the academic, scientific, and business world. So, paradigm. Perhaps I should write a poem, an acrostic that would rhyme. Record a verse or two or three, a device to shift in time. Designed to merge two styles of verse in two different forms sublime. Grouping into one I will try, making an acrostic rhyme. Philip Burgio.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I do like acrostics.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been sharing a lot of them lately, and this one I like how you made it rhyme, and I like the whole concept of the paradigm. I think it fit well both with the word and with the concept of sort of merging these acrostic style with the rhyming poetry.
Yeah, the first acrostic I wrote, I didn't know what an acrostic was. I was just playing around with verse. I go, let me write this. That was back in the 70s. And then I come to find out that's a style of poem.
Wow. Well, you two have been teachers for me, because on that episode 11 where I came on, I think beforehand you were asking about poems, and that's the first time I'd ever heard of a haiku. And then I wrote a poem and I thought it was right, and then you two had to educate me on what actually was needed regarding the syllables, the 575, and I really enjoyed writing after that. So thank you both.
You're welcome.
I am a novice, this thing regarding poetry, the different styles, I wasn't aware.
Oh, there's so many forms out there and so much to learn. Well, hopefully you'll be joining us for the Tonka episode coming up.
I will, 100%.
Yeah, you've been really a prolific writer. I've been enjoying your stuff. I'm glad we had a little insight into that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always fun to learn new forms and to play with those and experiment with those. All right, well, from here, I'm going to share a poem for the episode. This is a very basic poem. Nothing too crazy about the form or anything. But this is one I wrote way back in high school. Don't really have a year. This is before I kept better track of my poetry and the dates I wrote them and stuff like that. This is just a high school kid being up late at night. This is called Insomnia. The clock, it keeps on ticking, although I stay awake, as if to be reminded of the times I didn't take. I wander out in silence, night falls upon the house. The still air never quakens from the scurry of the mouse. I pass away the endless hours, not sure of what to do, hoping that a great idea will go and break on through. My sleep is not occurring. Its outcome isn't cool, to have to spend a boring day inside a wretched school. At last I start my dreaming, my worries float away, only to be woken to the problems of the day. Matthew Burgio.
You wrote that in high school.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I knew you when you were in high school.
When he should have been sleeping.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll tell you what, it was in high school where my being a night owl really came through, which didn't really work great with being a high school student because you had to get up at like 6 a.m. to go to school. But I always had a hard time getting to sleep at night. And a lot of that had to do with I found the joy in, or the peace and tranquility in the fact that everybody else had gone to bed and the world was quiet. And, I could do my homework, or I could, in this case, I started writing poetry or was writing in a journal when there were no distractions in the world. And from that time on, I've always loved that, even to this day. If I can catch a night by myself and stay up doing these things like journal writing or letter writing or poetry writing when the rest of the world sleeps, I find some pleasure and some peace in that.
Yeah, I can relate. I do a lot of my writing late at night, and it's like normally I'll sit in the bath with the phone and use dictate, and then, being there for like 2 hours.
Nice.
With the hot water, empty the water and put more hot in, and the poems just come.
Yeah, and the way we grew up here in the high school ages, or when we were younger, I had 2 brothers, so it was like the 5 of us in this house. It's not too big and not a whole lot of separation. Our whole main living room dining area is like half the house, like this giant room, and so there's very much common area. So trying to do things with people watching TV or just other teenagers being loud in the house, it was hard to find peace and quiet and to focus. And so I would just wait till everybody else went to bed, and that's when I would do what I needed to do.
Should have went out to the barn.
There you go. All right, well, from here, we're going to turn to our guest portion of the episode. Simon, you're the poet. Show us what you've got.
Okay, so this one is called Leave It Be. And basically, I work as a therapist in a rehabilitation centre. So it was a thing of addiction, and a thought I had of how could you get past the feelings of shame and guilt and put that where it needed to be behind you and move on with some hope for the future. So I wrote this. I wrote 10 poems, and they've been published in a book called Anthology to Poetry Press. I was lucky enough to be one of 25 poets selected to be published. This is one of the 10 they chose. Leave it be. Don't lay your past out in front of you. As the future, you must walk back through. Look at new landscapes, new horizons. The path you took was difficult enough without you having to retrace your steps over and over. You have already been bitten. You have already been stung. You have already been burned. You have already been broken, suffered unbelievable, heartbreaking despair. Let sleeping dogs lie. Let the tears you cried settle in lands of the distant past. Fill your pockets with experience. Fill your pockets with lessons learned. Head in a direction where you feel warmth. Head in a direction where you feel loved. Head in a direction where you feel light leads the way. You have earned the right to be happy. You have earned the right to feel unwavering peace. You have earned the right to switch off the noise, for your unsettling thoughts to cease. I look forward to hearing about your journey, the steps you have taken on untrampled grass, heading confidently into all weathers. I'm excited to see what your future holds. You have unshackled yourself from historic chains you no longer need to carry. Written by Simon Drake.
All right. Thank you for sharing.
I really like that one. I have a friend who's a recovered alcoholic, and she works with people trying, recover. Do you have AA over there?
Yes, we do, yes.
Okay, well, she's involved in that, and she's helping people, recover. So I'm going to have to make sure she listens to this poem.
Okay.
Very good. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. So regarding the AA, the program we have is the 12-step program.
Right, yeah.
And that's what AA work, and that's what we do in the place I work, Sanctuary Lodge in Holstead. And the people in there, the clients we have, they are amazing. It's a privilege to sit in amongst them.
There's a gathering down in Cherokee, North Carolina, Native Americans who have been recovering. And I've had the privilege to go there and be with them, and being the only one there that's, not in AA. It was just good seeing the people that I know and friends that have recovered.
Yeah, that's amazing. That really is.
Yeah, really done on this poem, and a couple notes. You have some great lines in there, and I like the encouragement. I like the "Let sleeping dogs lie, let the tears you cried settle on lands of the distant past." I like that, and I also liked your wrap-up line, the "You've unshackled yourself from historic chains you no longer need to carry." Some great lines there and some good encouragement. And I know I mentioned to you that I have recently finished reading your book, Triggers. And one of the things I can say in general is that I love how you have this encouragement, like reading Triggers. I know it's a student counselor's journey in poetry there. I know I'm messing up the subtitle, but I love the fact that you can tell that you're a counselor. There's a lot of encouragement. There's a lot of speakers in the poems that are struggling with different things in life, different addictions, abuse, all kinds of different emotions and all kinds of different vices and things. And I love that there's so much variety that people can relate to, and that there's a lot of those poems also that you're giving encouragement to people. And I just love that about your poetry.
Thank you. A lot of them poems in there are about me.
Got another one for us.
I have. So I wrote this, and then when you were messaging me, this piece came out. Yeah, so this is the first time it's been heard. It's called The Unspeakable. Before you, oceans rippled peacefully. Before you, I basked in the warmth of the sun. Before you, I danced like a child in the rain. Then you, awakening darkness within me, rupturing peace, igniting the unspeakable. It rose up from unfathomable depths, antagonizing, goading, infuriating, reigniting a rage that scorched my soul. To escape, I had to gnaw through flesh, eventually agonizingly freeing myself from you, destroying parts of me forever in the process. Nothing changed, nothing dissipated, The rage is with me still, even now. It's been an eternity. Still you're clawing your way into my mind. Even after being eternally banished, the poison lingers. I taste it in my mouth every time I think of you. Written by Simon Drake.
All right, thank you. There's a lot in that poem I can relate to in terms of having past lovers or being hurt in past love and past relationships. I would say something about the form of the poem. I love these transitional lines that sort of give it pause as you move into the next section of your poem, like the then you or to escape and the it's been an eternity. I love those breaks and those pauses that set the stage for the next section of the poem. So well written that way.
Thank you. I've got no idea regarding how these come and the different styles. It just seems to happen. And then I'll write in one way for a while. I was doing it where the second and fourth lines rhymed. And then I started changing it up. And it was that thing regarding poetry that it doesn't need to rhyme. And I've really been exploring different ways of writing how I feel. And as you said, regarding relationships, it's the ones that you love the most that end up invoking these feelings. So there was real love there, and there still is.
I know the feeling.
That's the thing with us as poets. When we feel this way, it's like we put it all out forever, don't we? Heartache and love and these feelings that we're lucky enough to be able to embrace, drowning, and then we can share that.
Drowning for sure.
I don't know who said it, but the saying like bitter to have loved and lost and not loved at all. I don't know if that's Shakespeare or what.
I believe that's Tennyson.
Tennyson? Okay. Research time.
Pretty confident it's Tennyson, but we'll update the audience on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of updates, Simon, anything you want to promote since you've been on last, or want to tell us about what you've been up to in your poetic journey?
I have just had a poem that's been released on spillwords.com, and they were the first people to publish a poem of mine. They published a poem in January 2022, and then I just went on a tear after that, and I ended up writing my own collection and having it out there. And I'm lucky enough that I've had poetry published in 11 anthologies to date.
Oh.
Yeah, once I started, I just couldn't stop writing. And then regarding Facebook and the poetry groups, some of them afford poets an opportunity to be able to get published. And I was very, very lucky to be selected on a few occasions and have my work out there. And again, it'll be out there forever. So I feel really blessed and privileged. And as I said earlier, I have been published in Poetry Press Anthology 2. Does that ring a bell? Because I know that one of you two gentlemen has been published in something that I'm in.
Well, I know we share poems, I believe, and Phil and I are both in the Wheelsong Anthology number 5.
Right.
And then I have a poem or two published in the Wheelsong Anthology 6.
I believe you and I are in a book together, which is amazing.
I think that's cool. You know, looking back, you know, talking about being near episode 50, when I go back and I flip through those anthologies and you see some of the names, I'm like, oh man, there's some of our You're the Poet guests that have been in these anthologies.
Yeah, a poetry band of brothers. I like that.
Yes. It's amazing just to think that you two are across the pond, and then we have this love of putting down our feelings and expressing, you know, these emotions we have, and we end up in the same book together published. And then, you know, however long later that we're talking like this and you've got your own podcast up and running, you know, it's amazing. And it's thinking about the universe and how things work, and maybe it was meant to be.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy to think about. It's neat. It's been an adventure, and it's one we're both really enjoying. Best of all, building that community and getting to know you guys. That's been wonderful. You know, to say like I know these kindred spirits over there across the pond, you know, it's really been great.
A couple of the ponds.
Couple of the ponds, yes. Yeah, we'll definitely share a link out there to some of these anthologies that you're in, especially like the Poetry Press Anthology 2.
There's a lot of good work that a gentleman called Robin Barrett does as well for mental health. And he published a lot of stuff like books on mental health, suicide, addiction, and, you know, they are going out far and wide. But I'm very, very lucky because the job I'm in, I get to read the poetry in these groups, and I get the clients to read the poetry as well in these groups. And it's so powerful, it's so impactful that you can pass a book to someone, they can open it up and they can read 4 or 5 verses, and the emotion that it brings up, it's amazing.
It's healing. Poetry's healing. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's great that you say that too, because I was thinking about, a few moments ago, we were talking about these poems and you were talking about being poets, getting to express these things that sometimes we drown in, or these emotions and whatnot. But I was going to mention that they can be empowering for other people when other people see that they're not alone and there's other people out there. And that you mentioned even in Triggers that a lot of those poems are about you and your experiences. And I think it's important to realize too how universal that can be, and that other people can relate to that and take things from it. And like Phil just mentioned, heal from it.
Yeah. I found the other way regarding the work is that these poems get read out and it inspires the clients in there to start writing and exploring their own feelings. And my God, the poetry they write is so powerful.
Wonderful.
I was thinking, and a plan I have hopefully that will take place over the next year or so, that I will get a collection together from people in recovery and get that published and have that down as a book called Recovery.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah, let us know if that happens, and we'll help you promote that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, got another one for us.
Last one. So again, this is all about me and my story and my journey, and it's called Finally a Little Piece. I'm sharing with you what it took to spit out the bait, pull out the hook, speak my truth here on this stage, freeing years of anger, explaining my rage. No one here knows my story. It isn't one of hope and glory. It's crying, it's hurt, it's tears, it's pain. I am what I am, and it's time to explain. Broken and spat out, used and abused, without explanation, that's why I'm confused. Amnesia to how hot the flame could be. I burned my hand in the fire continuously, hoping for answers so I'd understand why I repeatedly burnt the very same hand. Narcissistic trauma, I was force-fed. What chance did I have, so easily led? I was only a child. I wasn't aggressive, angry, or wild. I didn't talk back, I did as I was told. What did you expect? I was only 4, 5, 6 years old. Left on my own for weeks while they basked in the sun. Their personal slave, too scared to run. The memories I have aren't sunshine and laughter. It's violence, it's child abuse, and horrific disaster. What little of me that was left I hid away. I buried it deep, that part I tried to save. As the years passed, I grew, I evolved, with that piece tucked safely away within the depths of my soul. Now as an adult, I understand what happened back then at the hands of that man. The woman did nothing, I wasn't protected. She was complicit, her duties neglected. That woman did nothing, that woman, my mum, got off scot-free for the abuse of her son. 34 years, that's how long it's been since I've seen the face of that woman, my mother, my kin. As for him, maybe he got his just deserts, dying of dementia, and believe me, it could have been worse. So here I am, and here I stand, no longer a broken, bitter, twisted, angry man. I've worked on myself, I'm working on myself. I nurtured that piece of me back to full health. Slowly inside my soul it grew, then an epiphany, a realization I knew. I had to let go of the hatred inside of me, take my hand out of the fire so I could finally be free. Free from the torment, free from the pain, no longer burdened with hatred and shame. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. I've been on the brink. I've struggled, believe me. My hand has finally healed, and now you all know. To be able to heal, I had to let it all go. If there is hope for me, then there is hope for us all. That abused child is now standing tall. Counselor, poet, martial artist, and man. If I can survive, then believe me, you can. Written by Simon Drake.
Bravo. Bravo. Great poem.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Wow.
Didn't notice that at the end there when I was skimming through this earlier. I wanted to talk about this, and I'm glad you threw the intro in there too about the martial artist. And I'll get to that in a moment. I want a few comments about the poem first. Wonderful poem, and very touching and deep and heartfelt. You can definitely feel what you were going through. And that had to be a difficult one for you to write. Definitely very personal.
So for me, I found the writing to be really therapeutic. So regarding that trauma, the writing and putting this out and continuing to write and to continue to express the story and how I felt, the events I went through. It helped me to heal. It was part of the healing process to be able to keep putting this out. So I was no longer a slave to those emotions that I had. I was free from them, so that when I talk about it, and I can talk to you two now regarding my mum and her partner, I no longer feel any hatred towards them, which is fantastic for me because I'm no longer a slave.
I wanted to say that before you even said this, I felt that poetry helped you with your recovery and helped you get out of this mess. That's my impression.
It did, and it still does.
Great.
It's a fantastic way to process my feelings. I don't know how you two feel because both of you write poetry as well, Philip and Matt. Like, how do you feel about it? Does it help you to process and unload what you're carrying and what's going on inside of you?
Definitely with my grief and sorrow, definitely.
Right.
It has been for me, especially more so in my past. Talked about earlier about past relationships and some of the sting from that, and some of my poems reflect that, and some of them have been shared on the podcast. I have been thankfully blessed without having too much crazy, deep, painful trauma to have gone through. So I definitely, even though I can't relate on that level to a lot of you guys, I appreciate the poets that come on here and share that. Okay, well, before we continue, is there anything else you'd like to say about your poetic journey or just poetry in general?
It's continuing. I haven't been to a lot of spoken word events, but there is a weekend in Morecambe, which is right up the north end of England, that I've put down to go to, and that's like a 4-day event. So there's loads of poetry all over the duration of the weekend. So I'm looking forward to going up there and experiencing poetry from people I haven't met before and immersing myself in a poetic community for a few days.
Very cool.
Is that where like Loris lives up there?
Kind of like it's up where Newcastle is, up that way, up the top of England.
Okay.
It's 4.5 hour drive for me.
Oh, wow. Well, hopefully that'll be...
That's pretty good for England.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trek. I mean, but I'll be saying that, but I imagine in America you can do one hell of a drive, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 4 hours for us gets us to the top of the state.
Right.
But
And Ohio's not too good a state.
right. But no, that's wonderful. I'll keep an eye out for that on Facebook and whatnot, and keep us abreast about what's going on with all that. I love to hear your spoken word.
I will.
We've talked about I'd rather listen to the poet recite his poems than me trying to read it. Because like the final little piece, I wouldn't have got the emotion by just reading it.
Right.
Got to hear your emotion.
Okay. Makes sense.
That's me.
All right, well, as we move on, I've got just a little bit of feedback. This is on episode 45, our Around the Table 2. This is from Loris Loren on YouTube. What a brilliant episode. I'm glad you told me to check it out, guys. Such a rich collection of writers here. I particularly liked Phil's haiku from the start. Heavenly Designs. Very neat touch. I very much look forward to you guys hitting your 50th episode and releasing the poetry book too. Congratulations to each of the poets on the work and achievement. So thank you, Loris.
Cool.
All right, as we wrap things up, we want to let our listeners know we are grateful that you've taken the time to tune in. We hope you're enjoying the poetry shared here, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. If you would like to support You're the Poet and what we are doing here, we have set up a Patreon site at buymeacoffee.com/you'rethepoet. Thank you for your support as we continue to grow. After some feedback and questions about You're the Poet merchandise, we have set up an online store where fans of the podcast can grab some merch, including hats, mugs, t-shirts, and a coaster. You can find a link on our website, podcast, and social media pages, or directly at your-the-poet.printify.me. Help support the podcast and share your love of poetry with the world. If you've written any poetry and you want to share it here, whether you just have an interest in poetry, consider yourself an amateur poet, or a professional poet with published works, contact us to be a guest on a future episode. Please check out our website and various social media outlets to help keep up to date with You're the Poet. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, you'rethepoet.com. Until next time, Phil, thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
Simon, thanks for coming back and being our guest.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And thank you, guys. Goodbye.